Hi, this is Marcin Ruman and welcome to another episode of our new series of podcasts. It's in the car, it's in Las Vegas. We're still looking for the name for the podcast, but it's the first episode in English, and that's a special one because I have an incredible opportunity to host this man whose name is Charlie Cina, and for the past 30 years Charlie has been working in high-level sales environments, building sales teams and driving revenue. Charlie has been helping business owners, sales professionals and entrepreneurs shorten the sales cycle, get it shorter, increase customer acquisition, so get more customers, activate the right mindset to recruit, train and retain the right salespeople for years. He's collaborated on huge projects for giants like Pepsi and the Discovery Channel. In addition to teaching sales, Charlie is also an author of a great book, which I read, and I also listened to the audiobook.
You even have a copy, dude. You're a pro. You're a pro.
Yeah, I also have a copy. I keep it in this car because when you expose, like we're doing now,
you close.
Charlie Cina, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here.
Dude, I think you should call the podcast "The Rubber Meets the Road."
The rubber. I thought. Why? What does it mean in English? Because we're
tires, right? I don't know if that's a good name or not. But you're in a car, right? You have to have the rubber. The tires have to be on the road.
Okay.
Right?
That's correct. I thought about calling it the Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker is good. I like that too.
But there's no rain in Vegas. So at the end of the day, I don't know if it's a good name. But tell our viewers who don't know you yet who you are and what exactly you do.
Well, I think you said it best. My entire life since I was a kid, I've been involved in sales. So I don't like sales. I love sales, and I love empowering people, teaching people, mentoring people, ultimately how to shorten their sales cycle and increase revenue. And I didn't know it up until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but I actually had developed my own process to go out and acquire, high-level clients, no matter what industry I was in. And that's how I came up with Expose and Close. A guy said to me one day, "How did you close Les Brown? How did you get Tony Robbins? How do you get your clients?" And I said, "Well, man, I just expose and close." And he said, "Oh, so you have like an expose and close system?" And I kind of leaned back for a second and I said, "Yeah, I guess I do." So I was in process of writing my book, and I was going to call the book "Hi, What's Your Name?" because I think that that's like $1 million question, right? You have to ask people their name and make that first point of contact unforgettable when you stick your hand out and shake hands, or now we fist bump post-COVID. But whatever the case is, that's how I came up with Expose and Close. So for 30 years, no matter what business I've been in, I've just had this process to go out and connect with people, convey my marketing message, right? Who am I? What do I do? What problems do I help people solve? And really, what's my differentiator, right? What makes me different?
Yeah.
And then really, when I say close, you really just have to learn how to have conversations that convert. Because closing's important, but I wrote that book to help the people that don't want to sell, don't like to sell, don't know how to sell. And I believe selling is really just having good conversations that convert.
Right. And what's your story? You've been telling your story a few times. I heard it at your conferences. I heard it on other podcasts. But you don't show yourself too much out there, which is, I would like to see you more because you're such a talent. You said you're such a great guy. Like, when I think about sales, I think about you because you're kind of like a friend. You're kind of like a good uncle.
You're right. That's honestly probably my weakness. I don't know, man. It's like I know how to do it. I've done it. You know, you were at my conference last year.
Yes, sir.
I put over 200 people in a room and never really did social media.
So, like, what's your story? What were your beginnings with sales and business?
Here's my deal. My dad was always an entrepreneur, right? Was always out there promoting, had his own small businesses.
Right.
And, you know, I was always taught the basics of common courtesy. Hi, what's your name? Shake people's hand, look them in the eye, and let people know who you are, what you do, and again, what problems you help people solve, what product or services that you're offering. And I started off young, hustling. You know, I brought up in Buffalo, New York, so in the wintertime I'd shovel driveways, in the summertime I'd cut lawns, in the fall I'd rake leaves. You know, would always be doing some type of odd job to make money. And you know, then I had paper routes, so I delivered the paper, and that's really where I learned how to knock doors. Right, knocking doors, asking people if they want the paper. Some people would say yes. Some people would slam the door on me and say no. Some people would look out from behind the curtain and not open the door at all. So I started to understand what rejection was all about. But I wasn't out there looking for the no's. I was looking for the yeses, and I understood at an early age that the more you introduce, the more you produce. Yeah, I mean, simple concept, right? But people don't get it. So the more doors I knocked, the more people that said, yes, I want the paper, the more I made from distributing the paper. And then back then, you'd have to knock on the door and go collect every week, every other week, and the people would pay in cash. They, you know, they give you $1.05 or $1.20 or whatever it was, and then they tip you the change or a buck or two. And you know, I made tips, so you know, I always had money as a kid, and really at an early age started to understand what the distribution process was all about.
Why distribution is so important? The other week I had a lady, Sylvia, and she's in marketing, content marketing, and she said, at the end of the day, in marketing, distribution is the most important. You're saying the same.
Well, right, because nothing, you know, money doesn't move until a product or a service is purchased. Right, so it doesn't matter what business you're in, whether you sell water, the glass that holds the water, the faucet that, you know, makes the water come out of the ground. Like, at the end of the day, it's about distribution, selling your product or service, bringing it to the marketplace. And my whole concept of expose is how do you shout from the rooftops, right, who you are, what you do, and what problem you help people solve. And if you're not talking to 5 people a day minimum and introducing them to you and your business, you're doing yourself a big disservice.
Just pissing in the wind.
Yeah, so again, you know, you talk to 5 people a day, online or offline, right? That's 25 people a week just during the course of a business week.
Yeah.
Rounded off, it's 100 people a month. It's actually a little more than that because there's 4.33 weeks in a month.
Right.
But let's say it's 100 people a month. Now you're talking to 1,200 people a year.
Right.
That you have an interpersonal connection with that may want your product or service, or that's going to refer you to somebody that they may know that wants your product or service. So, you know, that's how I've built my businesses. And, you know, today social media even helps you take those quantum leaps and go a step further. But, you know, that being said, in its simplistic form, that's where I've always started. And some people, you know, say, hey, that's old school, but it's really not. Like, it's just a tried and true, tested, implementable tactic, right?
Yeah.
Common courtesy. Hi, my name is Charlie. What's your name?
Stop here for a moment. The other day, no, like, stop in terms of like what you're saying. The other day we went for a steak. We had a dinner, business dinner, and I wanted to kind of get around what you just said. I remember, and I learned that from you, and I use that, I implement it, because I look at people that are years ahead of me. So that's why I created that podcast, because I can look at the people who are years ahead of me in terms of like their networking, they're here, they've done it. And then so you ask the waiter, hey, what's your name? Before you actually told him the command.
Are you talking about what you read in my book?
No.
Or you did it?
No, I saw you doing that at the restaurant. You weren't even conscious of what you were saying.
Right.
Because it's in you already. Like.
Right. Well, what you're referring to is, you go out to dinner. Most people don't ask the waiter or waitress their name.
Asks.
Now that's insane. You're going to have a 45-minute to 1 hour to 2 hour relationship with this person.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you know their name, and again, you connect with them at the first point of contact, and you're calling them by name, now you're not a stranger. Now you're just not a typical customer that's coming in.
Yeah.
Right? You're building a relationship with that person. Do you think you're going to get better service? Chances are
100%.
yes. If something's wrong and you say, hey, Martin, my food doesn't taste good, they're going to go out of their way for you just because you're calling them by name, and subconsciously there's a friendship there, there's a relationship there. So people don't get it. It's the power of your name.
Wow.
Right? Your name is your brand, who you are, what you stand for, what you represent, and it all becomes a very organic but powerful branding technique. Next time you come in and that waiter or waitress sees you, in walks Charlie. They're going to go to their boss and say, hey, sit Charlie in my section.
Right.
Why do they want me in their section? Well, chances are I gave them a good tip because, right, they gave me good service. Now we know each other. And I literally, one of my best friends, his name is Rocco Marsiglia. I met Rocco at Giada's restaurant. You know Giada's on the Strip?
No.
It's at the Cromwell Hotel, right across from, diagonal from the Bellagio. Long story short, Giada's a famous celebrity chef. We go in there for dinner. This guy waits on us. What's your name? My name's Rocco. Rocco, nice to meet you. We start talking. I find out his wife's, pregnant. We become friends. He's my friend now. I was in there numerous times for dinner. I got great service, and now we've built a friendship outside of that, quote, business customer
What
relationship.
I had John Laval on the podcast the other day. He's the NLP guy. So a few people, my business partners, were asking me, hey, what if the NLP and sales, it's manipulation? Like you manipulate people because you want to get something out of them.
Well, here's my idea or my definition of manipulation. Manipulation is when you come from a place of bad intention.
Okay.
Right? Manipulation might be I need to borrow $100.
Yeah.
But instead of me coming out and say, hey, Martin, I'm in a really bad spot. I need $100. Will you lend me $100? I manipulate you or talk you into making a bet with me or doing a trick.
So we've had people, salespeople like that. We've had friends like that.
Sure.
Yeah, even family members.
Absolutely. So as long as you're coming from a place of good intention,
right.
Like right now I'm taking you out to the desert. There's nothing in front of us. There's nothing behind us.
Okay.
I don't know which one of us.
I'm looking forward to that.
Listen, I don't know which one of us is going to come back, but I'm coming back.
We're coming back together.
You better have a good intention. You better not be taking me out to the desert for a ride, man.
Well, listen, we're going to come back stronger because we're going to go on a date. It's a friend's date.
But do you understand what I'm saying? That's the key. So even in sales, like I use the word in sales, you should learn how to persuade people. And people go, oh, that's terrible. Well, no. Yeah. It's only terrible if the product or service that you're selling them is not going to help them.
Right. So you're going to believe.
Right. And if you're persuading them or consulting them in the sales process and educating them in the sales process and giving them a nudge because they really need it and it'll make a difference in their life, that to me is not a place of bad intention.
Right. The other day, one of my business partners, he hired an assistant to a dental office. Mm-hmm. She's supposed to pick up calls. Guess what? She was shy. They fired her the other day. Just after the same day, pretty much, they fired her. People that are in service, in products. We're all in the distribution business.
No question.
No, regardless, you're a programmer that you sit, underground, whatever. Doesn't matter. You always have to interact with other people. And there's no shame in that.
No, absolutely. Listen, there's a couple things I teach and preach, right? Even to my kids that I talk about in the book, right? Hi, what's your name is huge, because everyone likes to be recognized and everyone likes to hear, right, the most important word to them that's in their vocabulary, and that's their name. Right? Everyone likes to hear their name. So not only are you showing people respect, but you're kind of, celebrating them in the process by calling them by name.
Yeah.
Right? You're solidifying that initial point of contact where now you're not strangers anymore. You're building a relationship where you can become, acquaintances and potentially friends.
That's correct.
And that's the key. And then when you can articulate in 10 seconds or less and answer the biggest question in business and even in personal relationships, what do you do?
That's so common.
That's key, and people don't know how to answer that question.
I still don't know it, Charlie. That's crazy. I mean, because that shows the power of what you're saying. Because people that even know what to say, they still don't know, because the technology is changing, the environment is changing. I came to this country from Europe. It's a different language at the end of the day. Obviously, I gotta be fluent in English because that's, my clients are mostly English speakers. But I still, how crazy. I'm just an example of what you're, preaching. I gotta implement more.
Well, we all do, right? And for example, if I go out and talk to people in the insurance business, I'll say, what do you do? They say, well, I'm an insurance agent, or I sell insurance. Well, if somebody asks you that question and you say I sell insurance, subconsciously what that person's thinking in their mind is, I have Geico, or I have State Farm, Jake with State Farm,
yeah.
Right? Or I have Allstate, or whatever, and they dismiss you subconsciously. You haven't piqued their interest, right? You haven't presented yourself in a way that's unforgettable at the first point of contact.
So you have 10 seconds. Let's kind of condense that. Let's break it down. You have 10 seconds. You meet a new person, even though someone introduced you before or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You meet a new person,
right?
Or even a person that you already know,
right?
You need to pique their interest. That's number one. 10 seconds. How do I do it?
Well, not only do you need to pique their interest, you need to let them know who you are, what you do, what problem you help solve. Mm-hmm. Right? You need, in your power presentation, to brand yourself, position yourself, and differentiate yourself immediately.
Okay.
Right? You're
wow. So that's so much in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, you're a social media guy. How long?
Well, I'm not. I'm a technology guy.
Technology guy, but you're tech savvy. How long do people watch YouTube videos for? What's the average time?
The average time, probably 9 minutes. The last time.
No. But if it's not interesting, I'm told that it's 8 seconds or less. They'll watch a video on YouTube or on social media, and in 8 seconds or less
You're right. The other day I looked at our YouTube analytics, which I don't give a fuck about, in all honesty. But you're right. The peak was like that.
Right.
First 10 seconds, boom,
right.
And then everything was going like this. Look.
So you have to hook them. So people that are in the insurance business, I sell insurance. Well, no, you don't. You should be saying something to the effect of, I empower people to protect their most precious assets,
right,
and things that they love most, and save them money in the process.
Right, and then so you need to articulate, because you said words trigger
pictures which trigger emotions, which lead to action steps.
Wow. Do you know that as you're talking that now, as you're saying that now, I haven't been able to put it in my
right, you've heard me say that a million times, right? But now it clicked.
Now it clicked. I get it because of all the actions, and then you just said before we got on the recording, you said it's crazy, but we've already known each other for over a year.
Yep.
And it seems that if I've known you for 5 years, why is that? Do you do something? Some techniques?
Well, that's because we've built a relationship.
Okay.
Right there's clarity from the first point of contact. I presented myself in a way that's unforgettable, right?
That's
I
correct.
positioned myself in some way, shape, or form with you to where I became the only logical choice for something that's meaningful to you as to what I do, right? Like initially I met you, you said I want to come to your event.
Yeah.
Right, that's how I met you. You came to my event. I really didn't know you. Then after the event, you're like, "Hey, man, I want to get to know you. I want to work with you." So when you present yourself in a way that's unforgettable at the first point of contact, and you position yourself, right, at the first point of contact, you're actually persuading people. Persuading people.
That's out of the book. I read Cialdini. He said
that's Cialdini. Yep.
It's all about
Right.
What you're doing pre.
Right.
So
A pre-frame.
That podcast is a pre-frame because people
Boom.
watch it, and then they come, and then when they meet me or when I call them, they're like, "Oh, hold on, I've seen that somewhere." Like even
Right.
5 seconds, but they've already seen that.
Well, you're already setting the expectations of who you are, what you do, what problem you solve, how you're different.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? I'm being repetitive, but it's by design because again, we've been talking and meeting, and you've had me mentor you. We've been on Zoom meetings when you were in Europe. Like, it's a process of doing and redoing, right? And mastering your craft.
Right.
Even myself, I fine-tuned my presentation because I took on a client to where he booked some calls for me to help him further sell his VT. So I would get the calls, and
His VT. His VT.
yeah, he sells VTs.
VT is virtual training.
Yeah, his
by,
virtual training.
Lightspeed, right?
Yes. So he sells his virtual training, right? He's my client. He said, "Would you help me out and take some calls? If I book some appointments, will you get on some calls with these people
Yeah.
and see what they like about the VT and renew them and maybe even sell them a package of some of my other products and services?"
Right.
So I agreed to do it, not for the money, because there's not big money in doing it,
Right.
but it allowed me to fine-tune the process.
It's the same like the recording here. When you said
Right.
that, it allows me not only to present myself and expose myself, but also, as I'm talking to you, I'm actually in my mind, I'm going through all of the examples, all of the situations, all of the instances where I need to improve and where I've done things good, where I've done things well.
So what I'm trying to impress upon you, why I'm telling you what I did, because in doing that, I was able to refine my presentation. I was able to refine my words, my word tracks, and get a different perspective of the actual clients that are buying online training.
Now, sorry that I'm going to interrupt you. A lot of the words that you're using, I see that you're able to articulate, and kind of your tonality is, way ahead of mine, because first of all, I'm not an English native speaker, and second of all, I'm learning, I'm still on my way. Have you been practicing your tonality as well, and what the words that you stress?
Well,
or that's not really.
I
Because I hear the men, like the gurus, they say, "Oh, you gotta have like your tonality, you gotta go up." And you
Well,
gotta
I
go
think
down.
at this point in my life, I probably do it unconsciously,
Okay.
right? But to your point, that's something, again, that's why, to me, what do? I teach the art of presentation.
Right.
Right.
So that's
if I
a
said
component.
so if I met to you power pitch, "Hey, nice to meet you." You said to me, "Charlie, what do you do?" Well, I empower sales professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners like you to shorten your sales cycle and increase revenue margin through my 3-step process.
And now, obviously, you got my interest because,
Right.
first of all, you're gonna make me more money. You're gonna shorten my sales process, which I'm not gonna have headaches. And also,
I'm going to teach you a 3-step process.
Yeah. So how do you do it?
Well, I teach you how to present and position so you profit.
Okay.
I'm going to teach you, Margin, how to present yourself in a way that's
Gotcha.
unforgettable at the first point of contact. Position yourself where you become the only logical choice.
Right.
So you dominate your space. Then I'm going to teach you how to profit by acquiring high-level clients and then nurturing those clients to get repeat and referral business, ultimately generating revenue relationships for life.
Right. Amen.
Okay.
Now you got my interest.
Now
we're building. That's the first step, and now we're building the relationship. So you're an expert on introduction, or like there's no such a thing?
Well, no, that is my area of expertise, right? The art of the introduction, the art of really learning how to meet and greet people.
Right.
Right? At the first point of contact, your differentiator, right? The objective is, the whole persuasion pre-frame concept is in 10 seconds or less, subconsciously, you're telling people who you are, what you do, what problem you help them solve, and why you're different.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, subconsciously, people are immediately making a decision, right? Your mind's working at warp speed.
Yes.
Right? It's a computer.
Yes.
And it's analyzing, it's hearing, it's seeing, it's feeling, it's touching, it's smelling, right? All your senses are activated, right? What you're wearing, what type of glasses you have, all of that. So that is your brand called you, and when you come out with that power pitch, the purpose is to pique people's interest and persuade them so they want what you have versus having to convince them that you have what they need.
Is there such a thing as chemistry at this point? I don't even know how to define that. Probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think. Listen, absolutely. But here's the beauty about you refining the art of the introduction and your power presentation. Right? It allows you to do just that. So, for example, if I said to you, I empower business owners to shorten their sales cycle and increase revenue, right, through my guaranteed 3-step process.
Yeah.
Now, if you didn't come back and say, hey, Charlie, I want to know more, or what's your 3-step process?
You didn't pique my interest.
But you just did me a favor.
Yeah.
Why do I want to get your card? Why do I want to follow up with you?
Why do I?
Right. Why do I want to try to get you on a Zoom meeting? Why do I want to try to meet you for a cup of coffee? Why do I want to try? You're sucking my time. I just sorted, sifted, and separated you as a suspect. Right? If you fine-tune the art of the introduction in your power presentation, boom, you're out. I'm on to the next one. So again, you do that to 5 people a day, and people say, oh, it's COVID. You can meet people online, offline, send a video, email, right? Whatever.
Right.
When you learn how to use the right words that trigger the right pictures, that trigger the right emotions, and you articulate that in your power presentation, you will convert at a higher level.
Amen.
Period.
Charlie, let's go back a little bit to your story. You're from Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
Why did you decide to come to Vegas?
Well, I went to a junior college in Buffalo, New York for hotel restaurant management. I had some scholarships to finish up here at UNLV in hospitality. And while I was in school, I got involved. I mean, I was always involved in sales in some way, shape, or form. You know, I sold shoes when I was in high school. Then I was a waiter, right? But waiters, really, I mean, if you're doing your job correctly, you're selling, right? You're upselling the special, you're upselling dessert, you're upselling the wine. So I've always been an entrepreneur in sales in some way, shape, or form, you know, out there knocking doors and hustling. But I came out here to finish school for hotel restaurant management, and when I was in school, I was in sales, selling advertising specialty products over the phone, pens, key tags, to business owners and construction people that had construction companies, contractors. And really, I never got into the hotel business. I found a niche. I knew I could sell. I pursued that. Then I opened up my own small businesses over the years. So I've always had a passion for selling, and the beauty of selling, right, or being in a distribution business is it doesn't matter to me what product or service that I sell. As long as I believe in the product or service, I know it's going to help somebody solve a problem. And we don't have to get into this right now because it's a bigger conversation, but there's actually a formula for selling. And no matter what business I've been in, I've just plugged in this formula, and it's worked for me. It's allowed me to not only make a good living, but make money and really excel no matter what business that I've gotten into.
How sales changed over the years? Do you think there's such a thing like, oh, let's go back to basics? Because a lot of people, like probably in the car business, or I mean, whoever was or has been affected by the situation that's happened over the last year. Do you think people just should go back to basics? What's basics?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, do I think the sales process has changed? I don't believe it has. The sales process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, how you engage somebody in the sales process as far as the platform that you're going to use,
yeah,
that's changed, right? We're now selling products and services over Zoom meetings. People are now buying stuff off of Amazon by watching a video or going to a website, right, and getting familiar with it and buying products before, without touching them in the store.
yeah,
Right? And I'm talking about new products that come to market, but people will just say, oh, that looks cool, I'll buy it. Where before, 1999, I remember, like, not unless you were a young individual that was, tech savvy and really hip to the internet, you weren't buying something online because you thought you were going to be ripped off, right? But
right.
The sales process, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on a Zoom meeting, whether you're face to face, there's still a formula, there's still a process, and you have to take people through the critical steps or the critical conversations, and that's why I believe it's a presentation, right? When you learn how to present and not sell, you'll be able to take people through an experience where you're answering all of their questions in your presentation. You're overcoming their fears, their uncertainties, and their objections. So by the time you get to the end, they want what you have, or they're going to give you potentially that unspoken objection.
Let's just give people an example. Like, what would be the other day on Monday, I was giving a presentation to people at Nations Landing. So Sierra invited me. There was around 40 people, and so the objection that they had, I was like, trying to figure them out. That's a real case scenario. We're working like, you're my mentor. We're working like together, like on a kind of real case. And I was thinking, okay, I know what are the objections. The price. Number one is the price always. What's in the deal, and all the other ones I was kind of guessing. Because it's a new product, I'm still getting feedback, and I'm like, shit, I'm not as prepared as I should have been. And how can I get the objections when I have a new product? Like, is there like, you have them already like in your cup?
Well, here's the reality. No matter what product or service you're selling, in my experience, and there's always exception to the rules, so for those of you that are listening to this, I know there's exception of rules. I'm saying the majority of the time,
yeah,
right? If you're selling a car, there's 3 top objections that you need to overcome, right? If you're selling training, if you're selling a website, if you're selling an e-commerce store, there's certain objections. There's probably 3 main objections that you need to overcome. So one of the main questions that I ask in the sales process is, Marcia, thanks for connecting with me today. Right? I understand that you're looking for some, sales coaching and mentorship. What are the 3 biggest problems that you're having right now with you and your sales team that if you could overcome would allow you to put another 20, 30, or 40 grand to your bottom line a week, a month, or a year, depending on where you're at.
So that's how you obtain, that's how you get the objections from them. So they tell you.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's not their objection. That's not their objection. Those are the problems that they need to overcome. Okay. Right? Now, if you, through your presentation, show them how you can help them achieve those objectives. And then you get to the end, and they say, well, I want to think about it.
Yeah, that's a common one, yeah.
Well, Marcin, what's to think about?
Now I have 2 customers on my mind.
Yeah, what's to think about, Marcin? You just told me at the beginning of the call that you needed a proven, implementable, duplicatable presentation script that your salespeople can use in order to convert at a higher level.
Am I rushing them too much?
Well, I don't know.
Like a lady told me, oh, you know what? This week I have a lot of clients with this week I have a lot of calls with my clients. I'll get back to you on Monday.
Well, if she's saying she's got a lot of calls with her clients, you, in my opinion, and again, I'd have to hear the whole phone call.
Okay.
But chances are, you did not identify her pain points, right?
Okay.
Her objectives.
Because that's after
that she needed to achieve.
Okay.
Because if she said, you know, for example, I need a website that's going to do this, or I need an online store that's going to do that, or I've, you know, had experiences where, you know, companies tell me they're going to finish it and I've been burned before.
Right.
Well, then you need to make sure that you're overcoming those objectives, showing her social proof of the work that you do, the companies that you've helped. And then at the end of the call, if you've done your job correctly, right, she's going to want what you have because you've made an impact on her. You've shown her the value. You've shown her how you're going to take away her pain and ultimately generate more what?
Revenue.
Right. So when you can teach
people, at the end of the day, people want the dough.
Yeah, so when you can teach people how to generate revenue, right, you're going to increase your closing percentages. So to me, everything, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, boils down to helping people make more money, save money, or live a better lifestyle in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Let's talk about humor. I don't know if we can fucking talk about humor, but at the end of the day, what I see and what I've learned over the last, 3-4 years maybe, as I've been consciously building businesses, is that, you know, people are okay. Like, obviously you gotta like gauge people, see what kind of type of people they are.
Right. Humor is great. I love to, you know, make people laugh, make people smile,
Yeah.
right? And when you do, obviously your ego goes, oh, I just made them laugh. It makes you feel good that you made somebody laugh or smile. But in my experience, if you use it as a pattern interrupt during the sales process, you can actually take people off course.
I see that there's a lot of guys that are using pattern interrupts.
Yeah, so sometimes humor can cost you a deal because it takes you off of that path, that pattern, that roadmap, right? That again, you're trying to get them to connect the dots, and then all of a sudden you throw a joke in there, right? And now you start drifting off the path to get from point A to point Z.
Right.
And it could cost you, but if used at the right time during the process, you know, maybe at the beginning or at the end,
or if they lose interest, right? Or
yeah, even to get their attention back. Yeah. So I think humor is a great thing, and do I use it? Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what's the funniest customer over the years that you've had, and you remember, and then you could kind of bring that example?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like the funniest, you know, the funniest. It could be the funniest deal, the funniest like guy, customer, or maybe someone from. I don't.
How do I put it? I don't know if it's necessarily using humor as an example, but I mean, I can tell you funny stories. Like I've closed deals in bathrooms where, you know.
Yeah, tell me that story.
I'm in there doing my business, you know, standing at the stall doing my business.
Well,
and
hopefully not with a lady,
you know,
for your wife.
I'm in the
You
men's
close
room.
some
I'm in the
business.
men's room. Right, but my point
That's
is, right?
exactly, it's good to know the context.
Yeah, you're in the men's room, and somebody might make a comment like, "Hey, man, nice jacket."
Right.
Right.
You pick their interest.
Dude, I'm thanks. Or somebody might make a joke like, if I make a joke and somebody laughs, no matter where I am, in a bathroom, on a plane. I mean, I've closed deals, everywhere.
Right.
Or made contacts that ultimately ended in a deal. Using humor makes somebody laugh. Hi, what's your name? And then I go right back in. I want to say it's a routine, but it's not. It's not a superficial routine. It's genuine.
Yes.
Right. Like, I like shaking hands. I can't wait till we can get back to where we can shake hands, or you see somebody give them a hug and interact. And
Exactly.
I mean, listen, the art of call it the art of human connection, or the need for human connection is never going to go away. And when you can articulate and deliver the full package, right, where people know that you're being genuine, it's huge. So using humor is big, and anytime I can use humor to break the ice, to meet somebody, to tell them who I am, what I do. I'll give you a prime example. Super Bowl, my neighbor invites me over.
This Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl.
Okay.
There's 6 people there, 7 people.
You didn't know him?
Didn't know anybody. I know my neighbor, right? Single lady. She had a gentleman there that she dates. We start talking. What do you do? He said, I represent a Christian nonprofit organization that interacts with NFL players, that coaches NFL players and their wives to live a better lifestyle and take control of their fame.
That's how he put it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, long story short, just before we got here, why we delayed this a half hour was because the guy came to my office. I met him at my neighbor's, right? He said to me, what do you do? Well, funny you should ask. I work with speakers, trainers, and subject matter experts.
People can rewind back and
and help them create online content that they can monetize worldwide through my 3-step process. Right? The guy came in my office today, did a presentation for him. He's pumped up. He's going to put me on a conference call with this celebrity pastor that has 1,000 pastors across the country that are in his network. So, you never know.
So if you look on the map, like, let's imagine a circle. I don't have anything to draw, but let's imagine a circle. You got into an entry point. I'm going technical now. You got into an entry point, that particle here inside the circle,
right.
And now that particle connects you with everyone in the network, like, assuming you did a good job with the presentation and they liked you and they see value for their network. So when people, where I'm going to is that people think that, hey, that one guy, the other day, my project manager, she's like, oh, that client, that's a bad client. I'm like, no, there's no bad clients. Like, we're not serving them well. And what I mean is, even if we cannot sell them, how about we maybe get into their network?
No question. Yeah, absolutely.
So I was going to, look, you met that one person, you met actually six people. Out of the 6 people, I assume you're in touch with one.
Well, six people were there. 2 of them were me and my wife.
Right.
Right? 2 of them were me and my wife. But my point is, when the guy said, what do you do? I presented myself in a way that was unforgettable at the first point of contact.
Amen.
Therefore, I positioned myself as the only logical choice.
Did you dress like that?
No.
One of the things that I love about you is that, and I told you that on the phone, and I stressed that with a few curse words. That's an understatement, of course. I hear people, it doesn't matter how you dress. You can even dress like a,
Yeah, that's BS, man.
And I hear that from people that are super they're great salespeople, and they say, oh no, you don't need
when it doesn't matter how you dress?
Online.
When you're on the other side of money.
Okay, and that's crazy. Why those people give such an advice?
Then it doesn't matter. right?
Then it
Why
doesn't
doesn't it matter? Because whether or not you make that next deal, if it really doesn't matter to you, if you don't need the money, then great. But to me, that whole thing is BS,
Amen.
right? Why would you not want to increase your closing percentage just by wearing or looking better,
Right.
right? Oscillating at a higher frequency.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel better when I wear that. I don't know. It's because I was growing up in a poor family in an orphanage. Now I wanna, reverse all of
Bro,
that.
you should let me take you to a store and deck you out.
Take me to the store.
Huh? We should
Okay.
go, we should get a video, and we should go in
Hey, let's do
and
it.
do a whole thing where you're saying, just what you're saying, man,
Okay.
what impresses me about you is how you dress, and we'll go into the store.
Hey, how
and
about
we'll-
you dress me?
And we'll lay out the jackets and the I love that.
Because you said that your father.
Yeah, my father owned a clothing store. Yeah, and all the celebrities that came to town, all
I
the
need that.
businessmen.
I need some new jackets. I moved to Las Vegas. I had a stylist back in Poland. Great, she did that. She bought all of that for me. Now I need someone here locally, and then I didn't even think that I have a guy like you. I wanna look like you. I wanna dress like you, man.
Come on!
Take me to the store.
Huh?
Let's go.
Let's do it. We'll do a whole
Let's do it.
episode, dude. Get the camera and we'll go in and we'll do
I'll do it.
We'll do
Let's set it up. I'm
a
gonna
whole.
take the cameras. So that's why I love that podcast, because it allows me to go, and then also like my guests, I get them out of their procedures, out of their everyday, daily routines, daily, busy bee.
Yeah,
And I
dude, we're
put
just
them into
cruising
an
in the
experience.
Porsche.
By the way, how do you like the experience so far, from 1 to 10?
I like it. I like. It's relaxing.
Good. Good.
Yeah, it's relaxing. I might want to open this baby
So
up.
from 1 to 10, what would that be?
I can't give you a 10 because you always gotta level up, right?
Yeah, just give me some good number, man.
Uh,
Oh man, the camera, man!
did I screw up? Oh man.
That's what I love. That's what I love.
I would say this has been a 925.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate you, but we're not going away yet because I have 2 more questions.
If the cameras are right, we could have screwed up the cameras.
They're all good. They're all good.
All right.
Let's talk about mentors. We have books. We have so many gurus here in the gurus business. You help them with their process, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who is already in the business, someone who is starting, I give advice. Don't read. Maybe read one book, or don't even read books. Go out there and then try to close a deal, or find someone like Charlie and talk to them, establish a relationship, but don't freaking, focus too much on the mentors, on the books, because you miss the whole point. You should be doing things.
Listen, one thing I've learned from my mentors is mentors have mentors, right? Michael Jordan had a mentor.
Yeah. And the guy is your client.
Yeah, Tim Grover, right? He's not my direct client, but I know Tim. He's a friend, acquaintance. Mentors have mentors. And even myself, I'm constantly looking to level up. There's things I don't know about in business, right? Whether it's in investing or even sales. Like, I'm constantly reading and learning. I'm reading a book right now from this guy, Milton Freeman, who's an economist from the 70s and 80s, and what he's writing now is more, or what he wrote back then 20, 30, 40 years ago, is more relevant today than I think when he wrote it. So I'm constantly learning, and I carve out time during the course of my week, especially like on a Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
I'll get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. My family's still asleep, and I make my coffee, and I'm engaged. Right. Or I'm pre-COVID, I'm going to a conference, hopping on a webinar, I'm buying somebody's online training, I'm reading a book, or even when you're mentoring somebody. I mean, shoot, how many sessions did I do with you, right? You said, hey man, I want to mentor under you, what's it going to take? And we scheduled some
Well, thank you for your time, Charlie.
it was whatever, 3 or 4 calls. You've mentored me on things, and
have I?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
What did I teach you?
Well, as far as the whole website and what's important, and email signatures, and how to set up your Facebook, and or not Facebook, but YouTube and like all the little hacks, right? You're a young guy. You grew up in it. I didn't. That's my weakness. That's my disconnect. So, to your point, everyone needs a mentor.
Okay.
And a mentor doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity speaker influencer. I was mentored by my dad. I was mentored by my grandparents. Right? They taught me certain things about life that I've implemented that have made a difference. One of my dearest friends, who unfortunately passed away 4 years ago, didn't even know he was mentoring me. We would just hang out. I would watch him do business, and subconsciously I picked up on things that he was doing, and I don't even think he realized he was doing them. And I would watch him develop these relationships and friendships and close deals, and he wasn't smooth. Like he was really a guy with a 9th grade education, from the Bronx, but he had a way of connecting with people that was unbelievable, and I picked up on it. So, yeah, my buddy Vinny, it's in my book. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
right.
So, there's people out there that sometimes you don't even realize that you're being, mentored by.
People are afraid to call on people and mentors. People are afraid to ask. People are afraid.
Listen, here's the reality.
They don't.
I don't care who it is. I don't care whatever speaker, trainer. Everybody learns from somebody, right? There's nothing new. There's no new idea out there, right? What I teach and preach, I took bits and pieces and learned from other people and put it together.
Right.
Where you create your own style, and then you could say, well, it's mine. Well, okay, it's mine, but it came from a bunch of different people, right? Where you process it, you implement it, but everybody learns from everybody. And that's, the Tony Robbinses, the Grants, everybody, the Grant Cardones, everybody has mentored. Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' mentor. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yes, yeah.
But, nobody just falls to the earth and it is born with, all the knowledge and skills, and you learn from other people. And then I coined the phrase disciple of sales. I'm a disciple of sales.
I'm a disciple of sales.
And what does that mean? That means everything I've learned, everything I've sold, I had a manager when I was in high school when I was selling shoes at a family shoe store. Mm-hmm. They sold men's shoes, women's shoes, kids' shoes. The guy's name was Larry. Like, the guy taught me stuff that to this day.
You remember.
You remember. Just a little sales tactic. Right? I was on the phone this morning helping some of the young guys out on some follow-up calls. And I asked the guy a closing question, and I shut up. And there was silence for about 20 seconds. And the young gentleman couldn't take the silence that I was helping to close the deal, and he talked first.
I did the same.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was talking because I thought I'm gonna be smarter. I'm gonna sound sharper, but in fact it was my insecurity, because I see the more experience I have, the less I have to talk.
Correct. Well, and especially if you're asking a closing question, right? The prospect.
Give me the best closing line.
Well, for example, right? We've just gone through the sales process, and I said to you, Marcin, you do want to reach your goal of $5 million a year, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You do want to recruit, train, and retain high-level talent into your business, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you do want to make a commitment to better yourself so you're oscillating at a higher frequency, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's a $2,500 decision. It's a 1-year membership, right? And you're going to learn how to present yourself in a way that's unforgettable, position yourself as the only logical choice, and ultimately profit by acquiring more high-level clients. Now, do you want to put that on a MasterCard, Visa, or an American Express?
Right. And then that's important. Ask for money, because what I'm doing with my clients a lot, I'm like, I'm gonna throw what you said, and I'm not gonna ask for money. I'm like, oh, let's do it later. Let's put in the proposal. I send in the proposal. They're already not in like the emotional, state.
Right.
And sometimes that helps because they have time when they wanna really do the deal.
But if I just asked you, do you want to put that on a MasterCard, Visa, or American Express?
It forces me to narrow down.
Right. And now the sales professional should be quiet.
Right.
And let that silence.
I got a little cringe.
Yeah, let it sit there. Like, don't be uncomfortable. But that, again, that takes doing and implementing and experience and confidence and certainty and all the things that come with mastering your craft. Right? People think that, Kobe became great overnight, or Jordan, or Woods, or any of, or Tim Tebow, or Tom Brady, or whoever it was. These guys are constantly practicing nonstop. And that's what you need to do as a sales professional. So if I ask you that closing question, the first person that talks loses. Well, what happened today is the young gentleman talked. And I went, right? But he had already talked. The prospect's processing it.
Right.
Now he's got to come back to me with one or two things. Either say, here's my credit card, or give me an objection.
Right.
And then if he gives me the objection, I have to overcome that objection.
Right.
And again, as long as I'm coming from a place of good intention, right, I want to go back in 2 or 3 times and overcome that guy's objection, because if I truly believe he needs my product and it could help him, sometimes your clients will not get out of their own way, right? And by you educating them, you're elevating them to make a decision that could potentially make all the difference in their life. So why wouldn't you want them to have your product or service if you know it'll help?
Amen. Charlie, you've got your own virtual training, because a lot of the people, first of all, they're not gonna have, you don't have enough time, they don't have enough money a lot of the time, and all of the things that you taught me, and you've also mentioned here, those are just the bits. Where people can go to sign up for your virtual training?
Exposeandclose.com. Just like it sounds. EXPOSEANDCLOSE.com. Exposeandclose.com. And my training has been designed to teach people, whether they're seasoned pros or people that don't want to sell or don't like to sell. It's not about selling, it's presenting. So each chapter is really short, and that's by design. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 pages at the most. It's a very easy read. But my goal is, with my course, is to just walk you through, personally, some simple techniques and strategies that you could easily implement, and you'll see immediate results from, where you don't have to sell or you don't have to close. I just teach you how to have conversations out of the gate that could ultimately convert into high-level clients.
Amen. Exposeandclose.com. And also, if you go to Amazon, you can type Expose and Close, and I believe that book was 20 or 30 bucks. I highly recommend. You will not be disappointed. That's the real deal. By the way, after the podcast, he already pledged he's gonna take me under his wing. I need to get it on recording. I'm gonna get the cameras. I'm gonna get the camera guy, and on the camera, I will be your case study. We're gonna. What we'll do is we'll take the experience from your dad. We'll take your experience when it comes to clothing. I'll put on the credit card, and I wanna look like you.
Let's
Charlie,
do it, baby.
Thank you very much.
You're a gentleman. Appreciate our friendship.
Appreciate you. Appreciate your time. And if you liked the podcast, if you liked what Charlie said, if you resonate with the stuff that we just been through here, please subscribe to our channel. We'll have more content in English for Polish people, because we have Polish audience. We'll have subtitles, so I'll see, you know, what's the engagement. When you guys give us love, you know, give us thumbs up, we'll definitely create those subtitles for you. Otherwise, you gotta learn English, which you'll have to do anyway, baby. And give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye, take care.